Hi everybody, my name is Gaming Mule and welcome to the second episode of Muttering with Mule Live. So there's a few things that, we've got a great show lined up for you today. We've got a lot to discuss, a lot to get through. This is going to be a hefty show today, I have to say. But there's a few things that I want to just kind of start off with. Firstly, over the weekend, on Saturday evening, myself and Sunny from the Sunny Club came back from Download 2018 at Castle Donington, the premium heavy rock festival in the United Kingdom. And on the Sunday, it was really, really sunny and hot, which we weren't expecting. It had been quite dank and miserable for the rest of the weekend, but on Sunday, it was glorious sunshine all day, and I caught a bit of the sun. I'm flaking like a motherfucker, and I'm getting I'm a bit raw around the top of the head and the nose, so, you know, there's nothing wrong with me. I've not been beaten up or anything like that, or I've not fallen over and, dragged my face across the ground. It's sunburn. You know, I don't look overly attractive today, which I apologise for. Hopefully, by next week, this will be all sorted out. Secondly, I want to thank everybody that came to last week's episode of Muttering with Mule. That was the first Muttering with Mule live episode that I had done, and it went really well, I thought. There was some great comments in the chat. I got some really great feedback from it. I really enjoyed it, so I hope you enjoyed it as well. And yeah, I just wanted to thank all of you that came along last week, and thank you again if you're joining again this week. And thank you also if you're watching and you didn't join last week as well. You know, let's not forget the newbies. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about E3. So obviously the E3 press conferences went on over the weekend, and last week we discussed kind of predictions. What we're hoping to see, what we probably wouldn't have seen. We talked a little bit about Fallout 76, and we talked about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So we're going to follow that up today. We're going to I'm going to go through kind of what kind of stood out to me. I'm not going to go through everything that occurred at E3 2018 because that would just take forever, and I do not have the energy to do that, and I don't have the knowledge to talk about everything that was discussed. But yeah, before we kick off, let's just have a look in the chat and see who's here. So the same as I said last week. If you're joining this week and you weren't here last week, this isn't going to follow the same kind of format as my gaming live streams goes. Whenever I kind of do a gaming live stream, I try and go through all of the comments and read all of that out to you. But because this is kind of like a live video podcast, I don't want that to kind of disrupt the flow of what we're discussing. But I'll be visiting the comments in the live chat at intervals, so please don't be shy to talk about things in the chat. You can discuss things with other people in the chat as well. So, but yeah, before we kind of get into things, I'm just gonna see who's here. So, Super Saiyan 3 Gamers in the chat already. How's it going, buddy? You were here even before I started streaming. You're the top commenter at the minute, so thank you. That was closely followed by Funkle. Good to see you, man. Velocity's here as well. Oh, Velocity's been here for a while as well. Funkle says he's been here since 6 a.m. Is that American time or is that British time? And yes, and Griff is in the chat as well. And yes, Griff, that is a proper time zone, American time. That is an official time zone. Oh, I got into a fight with my girlfriend. That's why the red face. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Muttering with Mule Live. It's good to see you guys here already. So, yeah, what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, we're going to be talking about E3. So, E3. Normally, I don't pay that much attention to E3. I don't watch any of the live conferences. I just happened, a few years ago when they announced Fallout 4, Bethesda, I just happened to be up and noticed that the Bethesda conference was starting. That's the only time I've ever watched anything live, or really any conference that's kind of, you know, all the way through. It's the first time I've seen one all the way through. So this year, I've been kind of like actively trying to watch as many of the live shows as I can, and if I've not watched the live show, I've gone back and I've watched it again on YouTube. So this is certainly the year where I've paid most attention to it, and it's exhausting. It really is exhausting. People that do this for a living, and have to, people that go to E3 and have to actually like post things on YouTube and on their websites and things and blogs and whatnot, must have put so much effort into it, because it's genuinely so much to keep on top of and so much to keep your eye out for. It's crazy. And of course E3 is still going on as we speak. I mean, we've had all of the press conferences, but E3 is still going on. So as the week goes on, we'll probably hear more about actual gameplay from a lot of the games that we've heard of over the weekend. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. Hopefully there might be some more things to report on. I fell on a good week or a couple of weeks to start Muttering with Mule Live, because with E3 there's a lot to talk about. Next week I might struggle. I don't know what I'm going to talk. I haven't decided what I'm going to talk about next week, but E3's been a good week to go on, which is good. So the E3 press conferences kind of kicked off on Saturday with the EA conference, which I didn't catch live. In fact, I'm not even sure if I've watched it back. The EA one, sorry. Did I say E3 or did I say EA? I keep confusing EA with E3. I was doing this last week as well, so apologies if I'm cocking up on that. But yeah, I don't believe I did watch the EA conference. I kind of read up on the highlights about it though. So obviously we had like Battlefield 5 that was, of course that was going to be here with the EA conference. That's what we said last week as well. I don't believe they showed off much gameplay or anything like that, but they showed like a cinematic trailer, and they announced Battle Royale mode. Of course, they announced Battle Royale mode because that's what everybody is doing now. Battle Royale. I've got nothing against Battle Royale, but it's just a complete... It's just a fad at the minute, and everybody's trying to do it and piggyback off the kind of the success of PUBG and Fortnite, and it's getting tired very quickly, Battle Royale for me anyway. I quite like PUBG. I do have PUBG. I occasionally play it. I've played it with Funkle a few times live on stream, and that was a lot of fun. Fortnite, I've played it a few times, not really gotten into it. I get the appeal for it. I especially get the appeal for it for children, seeing as it's free. So anyway, we're coming off track. Battlefield 5 has been announced, as we know. We got a cinematic trailer and we got confirmation of Battle Royale. So, certainly nothing really exciting. We did discuss last week the possibility of a new Star Wars game, maybe, with EA being the kind of sole license holders of the Star Wars license. To be honest, I didn't really expect anything, but I thought maybe, and generally people agreed with me that that's not going to happen, but it did kind of happen. But there was no trailer or anything like that. It was literally just like the presenter of the EA conference just talking to a guy in the, like, he basically looked like he was in the audience, but he was something to do with the new Star Wars game called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is supposed to take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And I believe that you play either... I'm not sure if you play a Jedi or a Sith. It's probably just a Jedi in the aftermath of Order 66. And that's really all we know. So we'll obviously have to wait a while for that. That's something that they obviously just wanted to pump out, and EA and Star Wars. I don't care about EA and Star Wars anymore after the shit show that was Battlefront 2. They announced some stuff for Battlefront 2 to do with the Clone Wars. Whatever. They announced a few indie games like Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude. Again, Apparently, people are thinking of these as like the strongest things to come out of the EA conference. They're kind of indie titles, but it's nothing really caught my eye in the highlights. I haven't played Unravel. I've heard Unravel's a very good game, so I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about Ravel 2. We got some Anthem stuff, which of course was expected. Again, we didn't really see much from it. It looks very pretty, again, from the stuff that we've already seen. You know, traversing these environments, these very broad and in-depth environments where you're in the air, or you're on the ground, or you're underwater. You know, it looks interesting, but it's, you know, it seems like it's probably going to be like EA's answer to Destiny. So, and Destiny is something which I enjoyed, but I got tired of very quickly. So, yeah, we're not too sure what we're going to see about that. They've confirmed that there's going to be no loot boxes in the game, which is basically going to, I would say, is their way of saying, we fucked up with Battlefront 2, we're going to try and sort it out. But I have no doubt in my mind that there will be microtransactions in there in some capacity. And then, of course, they, which is the worst, they announced Command & Conquer Rivals, which is a mobile RTS game. Yeah. Not excited about that whatsoever. Apparently they really, like, looking at the highlights, this is something that they really tried to kind of churn out on the conference. This is something they were really trying to hype up for people. A fucking mobile game, and it's a mobile game for an old franchise, which they destroyed, and they destroyed the original developers as well. This is one of the huge list of developers that EA have just sucked up and mangled and destroyed over the years, which is Westwood Studios, which is one of my favourite all-time game developers. They developed games like the Command & Conquer franchise. They did the Blade Runner video game, which is my favourite game of all time. You know, and it's... yeah, it's a slap in the face, I would say, to a lot of gamers out there. So that was EA's conference, and generally it's been received quite badly. I believe that it was probably one of the most disappointing things to come out of the EA conferences. Yeah, what do you guys think? Let's have a quick look at the comments, see what people are saying about EA and whatnot. Griff says, oh, so comments aren't appearing on screen. That means I can say cock and another C word and shit. Awesome. Nice one, Griff. You can even say it when it comes on screen when I'm doing live streams. It's fine. Yeah, kind of meh with regards to Battlefield 5. I'm not bothered about Battlefield 5. I haven't played a Battlefield game before, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I've heard nothing but good things about them, though. Battlefield 1 did look really good, I have to admit. But it's just... I don't really go for first-person shooter games that often. And normally they're quite expensive. So when they do crop up, I don't really like spending, 50, 60 quid for a first-person shooter, and you're always going to get like DLC and stuff like that on top of it. So if you want the season pass, you're looking to spend like another 25 quid or whatever. So yeah. Velocity just says E3 was boring. Well, you're not going to enjoy this stream today then, because that is all we're talking about today is E3. So yeah, apologies. Chris talking about the Star Wars simulator after Order 66. So is it a hiding in a cave simulator? Yeah, basically. I think that must be what it is. Yeah, you're just like Yoda, just hiding on Dagobah or something like that. I thought Command & Conquer Rivals was the best part, and by best, I don't mean good, says Velocity. That's fair enough. So yeah. So their general thoughts on the EA conference is and that's basically what my reaction was to it as well. Nothing's really stood out for me, so that's the EA conference. So that's what we kicked off with. General disappointment, which is what we like in the UK. We crave disappointment in the UK. So after that came the Microsoft conference, which well, that was a hefty conference. I did watch that this afternoon, and there was so much to take in from the Microsoft conference. It's I can't remember how many titles and trailers that they had, but I believe it was like 50 or something like that. Many of which were exclusives, many of which were like the first time these things have been announced. They really tried to pull it out of the bag, Microsoft did. And they kicked it off with Halo Infinite. As I mentioned last week, I'm not an Xbox guy. I don't own an Xbox. I've never owned an Xbox. So with regards to things like Halo, they also announced Gears of War 5, I believe it is. Is it Gears of War 5? Hold on, let me double check that. I believe it was Gears of War 5. God, there's so much to go through on on this. I can't even find it. Yeah, Gears of War 5. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so things like Halo and Gears of War, I can't get excited about because I've never played them because they're exclusive to Xbox, and I've not got an Xbox or anything like that. But as I understand it, the fans of Microsoft and the fans of Xbox are really excited, which is fair enough. It's these are the games that are like the bread and butter of the Xbox. These are the games that are the reason that people buy Xboxes. So it's such a strong start, starting with Halo Infinite. People are gonna, and I think they did, lose their shit over that announcement. So that is fantastic. There was an announcement for Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which was really interesting because that was from Software, the makers of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls. So for them to announce a new IP is fantastic. It's quite amusing as well because with Neo coming out, which came out not too long ago, and Neo 2 was also announced at some point during the conference. I'm not sure if it was the Sony conference or the Microsoft conference. I think it was Sony. But people described that as like the Dark Souls, but with samurai. And now From Software seem to have announced that this kind of looks very much in the realms of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but it certainly has a very different take. It seems to have a lot quicker combat, a lot of aerial stuff in it. There's looks like there's horse mounts in it as well. So it's very different, but it seems like it still has the same kind of roots as Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but we've yet to see. We've yet to have any kind of confirmation of that. That was purely from the trailer, but they showed some gameplay. Looked really interesting. That's something I would definitely be keeping my eye out for, which is great. Microsoft gave us the first Fallout 76 trailer as well, and that was even prior to the Bethesda conference. We've got the first Fallout 76 trailer. We'll talk about Fallout 76 a bit later, though. There was Captain Spirit, for those of you that are fans of Life is Strange. Again, that's not something I've played, but I've heard nothing but good things about Life is Strange. This is going to be a free game as well, and so I think it's going to bridge the gap between like the first Life is Strange and the first season of Life is Strange and the second season of Life is Strange. So I think that's a good marketing tool for them. But from what I understand, Life is Strange was a fantastic game anyway. So I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about that. They showed Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, which, quite a few of the conferences from E3, Kingdom Hearts 3 showed up. And it's something I'm genuinely quite excited for, Kingdom Hearts 3. In fact, I think we'll take a look at the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. Because Kingdom Hearts is something that I've talked about before, but it's something that I've never really gotten into. I've tried because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I'm a huge Disney fan as well. So, that, like, the combination of the two is just right up my street. But I've tried playing Kingdom Hearts a few times and I never really got into it. I found the game really difficult actually. But I have started playing Kingdom Hearts again and I think I'm quite far into it. Last night I got to Halloween Town, which I believe is one of the later worlds that you visit. So I'm giving it a proper go this time, and I really want to finish the games before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. It's been postponed now to January next year, which is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, it's good for me because it gives me time to actually complete these games, and it's... You know, if they need longer... I'm not one of these people that, like, kicks off if a game has been delayed. You know, if they need longer to make a game and kind of make it the way that it needs to be so that it functions properly and it's kind of like what they envisioned, then I've got no issues with that. So, let's... Wow, which trailer? Because there's so many trailers that came out of... E3. I don't know which one to pick. We'll go with the first one, which I believe was the one that was shown at which is the one that I believe was shown at the Microsoft conference. So let's just do a bit of tech. And let's take a look at this bad boy.
It's cold! Guess he's too used to the beach.
Hey, Islander, what can I say? Huh? Look, even the sea's turning to ice. Wow. A walking, talking snowman! You really are alive!
Hello. Olaf, are these your friends?
Nope, never met him. Don't know anyone blue, green, or who's oddly spiky. Ah! Ah! Yeah! Whoa! Give me strength! Yeah! Oh! Whoa! Yeah! Ha! Take this!
Look out!
Right, so yeah, I mean, that's only like halfway through the trailer, but I think it looks fantastic. I mean, it really, like the graphics of the PS4 or the Xbox even kind of really shows it off, I think, and I kind of like the style that it's gone with. And when you look at, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Frozen, if I'm going to be honest, but the fact that Frozen in the game just looks exactly like the film, like it really, I mean, with everything else, with previous kind of Kingdom Hearts games, you can tell it's a game, and you can tell that, you know, the graphics, you know, what that current system can pump out, and it doesn't look as good as like the cinematics of a Disney movie. But with this, it looks absolutely fantastic. And we saw some other movies there. So we've seen Frozen. In there, I believe there was Monsters Inc. in there. There was Wreck-It Ralph. Let's see what else there is.
That's amazing. You can control ice.
Control it? No.
See, it looks really good.
Is hurt people. This is my home now. I can't go back. I don't want to hurt anyone.
Hark! Look out!
I'm probably going to get a copyright claim for this music in the background, I've just realised. Tangled as well.
Roxas does exist. His heart's inside my heart.
The other Twilight Town is just data. So what will Elsa accept?
Because I've only played
Light
Kingdom Hearts
or
1
dark?
about... Because I've only played Kingdom Hearts 1 about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through or anything, I have no idea who these guys are. But I'm intrigued to find out.
I know I want to know.
Well, good for you, but guess what? I won't let her fall to darkness.
This Keyblade.
Who's that?
Mickey.
No idea who this is either.
Too late.
But she looks nasty. Holy smokes, that's loud. So yeah, that was Kingdom Hearts. That's probably the thing that one of the things I'm looking most forward to that's come out of E3, although we already knew that it was coming out, but so far we've seen things like Toy Story. We've seen that Frozen. I think that was like the announced trailer for Frozen. Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, Hercules, Monsters Inc. You didn't see it on this trailer, but there was like on one of the other trailers there was like a very brief moment which had Remy from Ratatouille in it, which is really cool. I love Ratatouille. It's one of the best Disney films ever. But the only thing that I'm kind of not too sure about is that this seems to be kind of mostly focusing on like the more modern Disney movies, like the CGI Disney movies, and very little with regards to the like classic animated movies. I know we saw Hercules in there, but that was kind of the only like hand-drawn animated movie that was in there. So I don't know if we're going to be revisiting any of the older ones. I would like that, but who knows? So that's that. Let's have a quick look in the comments, see what people are saying. I'm surprised you don't get a copyright strike for sneezing these days. says Griff. That's a good point, man. Yeah, you make a top point there, I have to say. We'll talk about that in a bit, Griff. Kingdom Hearts 1 is by far the best. Really enjoying it at the minute. Really enjoying it. I can't wait to try Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. And some of the other games as well. I know that there's more than just Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. But yeah. So, very much looking forward to that. What else came out of Microsoft? So Forza Horizon 4 came out. That looked fantastic, I have to say. I like a racing game. I like a racing game every now and then. And that looks brilliant, I have to say. And it's, I like the whole open world aspect of the Forza games. And the fact that it's set in Great Britain as well. Great Britain. It looks really good. It looks very impressive. Very impressive. And also, bad news for bad news for Sony, and well, not just Sony. Probably bad news for a lot of, probably bad news for Nintendo as well. Is that Microsoft seem to have acquired a lot of studios, a lot of good indie studios, in time to announce for E3. So I believe that like the devs from Forza, the devs from Hellblade, We Happy Few, they've acquired all of these publishers. So I think they're really going strong, Xbox, in that respect. They announced The Division 2 as well. Again, that's not something I've tried. The reason I didn't get The Division is because it looked really boring. But I know a lot of people that really like The Division 2 and have said many good things about it, but personally it just didn't appeal to me. I watched a lot of reviews on YouTube and whatnot for it, so and like the loot drops that you get are like beanies and cardigans and stuff like that, and I just can't get excited for them. But The Division must have done very well to warrant a sequel, and as I say, I know a lot of people that enjoyed The Division. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We're going to have a bit of a pattern here where I talk about games and franchises that I haven't even played. So I do play games, believe it or not, guys. I don't just play Kingdom Hearts. I do play games occasionally, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider was another one. That looked brilliant. I do have Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I just haven't played them yet. And I need to, watching Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because that looked fantastic. We got to see some gameplay from that, and yeah, it looked really good. It looked very spectacular. There was Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, there was an expansion announced for Cuphead, which is brilliant. I've not completed Cuphead yet, but I've played it a lot, and it is brilliant. I absolutely love Cuphead. Cuphead, I can safely say, is probably one of the best games that came out last year. Indie-wise, it was certainly the best indie game that came out last year, without a shadow of a doubt. The music in it, the art style, the gameplay, all fantastic. And the fact that they're bringing out DLC for it is brilliant. They're bringing out a DLC character for it as well. Chalice, I think her name is, and yeah, so that's fantastic. There was a trailer for Jump Force as well, which is which was just a cinematic trailer, no gameplay or anything, but it basically is like a mashup of Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and One Piece. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. Not a fan of Naruto or One Piece, so it's not going to be for me, but anybody that's into their anime and whatnot, that's going to be something to look out for. How it's going to compare to the success of Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't know. It's a very different game. It's in 3D by the looks of things. It's not 2D. Not for me, but certainly if you're an anime fan, that's something to keep your eye out on. Dying Light 2 was announced. That looked fantastic. They kind of introduce... They're saying that there's a lot of choices that you can make that actually affect the game. For example, they said that you could like side with a faction that provides like running water to everybody, so you can kind of replenish, like hydrate easily in the game. But that also comes with a very like a high enforcement rate there, so it's kind of people are getting like oppressed and things like that. But then if you don't side with them, then you know the whole place becomes like a crime zone. So apparently there's a lot of choices in that game that can be made that has a lasting effect on the game in its entirety. There was Just Cause 4 announced. A lot of people are going to be very excited about that. And we've talked about Gears of War and stuff like that. So, Microsoft announced a lot of games. But they also talked about things which were available on Xbox Game Pass. Things that are going to be upcoming that are going to be available on Xbox Game Pass. I believe Forza 4 is going to be on Xbox Game Pass. So that's a huge, strong game to have on there. They also mentioned a few others in the future. I believe that Fallout 4's on there now as well, and a few of the things like that. They announced that along with Fallout 76. So they talked about that for a while, which was great. They also announced the fact that they are currently developing the next-gen console for Xbox, which isn't a surprise, really. I think it's going to be a good while till that comes out. It's probably going to be at least a couple of years, but they've acknowledged the fact that they're working on that. I have no doubt that Sony are going to be working on theirs as well. So, you know, basically, I think every kind of game company, like hardware company, basically starts work on the next-gen pretty much as soon as their kind of current bit of hardware comes out. They basically start working on it straight away, in whatever capacity that is. So it's no surprise that, you know, they're working on that. And then they ended their conference with a look at Cyberpunk 2077, which I think we need to have a look at, because I tell you what, that looked bloody brilliant. So yeah, we will take a look at that, the E3 2018 trailer for Cyberpunk 2077. So let's use a bit of technology again. Boom. And let's check this mother out.
In 2077, they voted my city the worst place to live in America. Main issues?
Something I didn't notice before is that in the bottom right hand corner just then, that just said, hold on, Let's bring it back a second. Oh, where's it gone? Game engine footage. Didn't realise that before. That is impressive, I have to say. Anyway, let's carry on.
Main issues, sky-high rate of violence, and more people living below the poverty line than anywhere else.
Epic music as well.
It's all true, but everybody still wants to live here. This city's always got a promise for you. Might be a lie, an illusion, but it's there, just around the corner, and it keeps you going. It's a city of dreams, and I'm a big dreamer.
Well, that looks fucking amazing. So that's what the Microsoft conference ended with, and that was a strong end, and it looks absolutely fantastic. There's no word yet on release or anything like that, and a few people are already upset about it because CD Projekt Red have confirmed that it's going to be a first-person game, not a third-person game like The Witcher 3, which has got a lot of people upset because of the fact that, you know, people liked that you were able to view your character, you know, the armor that you buy and stuff like that. You get to see it and look at your character in this epic environment and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not going to be that. It's going to be first-person, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but a lot of people do. And I can kind of see why, but at the same time, I trust in CD Projekt Red after The Witcher 3, which was amazing. This game, the style of it, the music, it just looks so good, so good. This is right up my street, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this. And yeah, I can't wait for us to learn more, and I can't wait for us to see some gameplay for that. That is going to be amazing. So yeah, Xbox, Microsoft had a really good, strong conference. I'll be perfectly honest, after watching it, I'm considering getting an Xbox now. I really am, because not just because of the games and the exclusives. Like I say, I'm not too bothered about Halo or Gears or anything like that, but I really feel like Microsoft are really on top of the value for money aspect. The Games Pass is fantastic. Backwards compatibility, brilliant. I really wish that Sony would get on with that and not with PlayStation Now with that fucking streaming service. You know, I just want to be able to own these games and play them on a PlayStation. So the fact that Xbox are doing that, and they're doing it with some really good games. I know they did. They've brought out a lot of Star Wars ones, such as like Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2, and like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. So I just think that Xbox at the minute seems to be so much better consumer-wise and value for money-wise, and just as a general company. I think they're quite in touch with the consumers, their audience. And it's kind of sold me. I'll be perfectly honest. I've been a PlayStation gamer, you know, since they first came out, and it looks, you know, Xbox, Microsoft really sold me on that conference. So that was great. So that was on the Sunday. So that was that was on the Sunday. I'm looking at the schedule through UK time, so we've got the Bethesda conference next, but and that's shown us on the Monday, but that was on at 2:30 in the morning for us in the UK. So if you're in the States, that would have still been the Sunday, I believe. Yeah, that would have still been the Sunday. You guys in the States, America time is 6 hours behind us, I believe. So yeah, let's just have another quick look at the comments, see what you guys are saying. Funkel's talking about Fallout 76. We'll talk about Fallout 76 in a bit. Velocity's keeping her eyes on Rainbow Skies and Clicker Heroes. I didn't really pay much attention to that, I have to admit. Funkel's talking about other Bethesda stuff. We'll talk about those in a second. Choices that affect the game is such a strange thing to say as opposed to choices that do nothing. What I mean is like choices that have a genuine impact on the environment and how the rest of the game is played. I mean, it's not like a Telltale game where you pick a choice and it doesn't actually have any impact on the outcome of the game. Whereas, you know, Dying Light 2 seems to be kind of showing drastic game changes following these choices that you make. So yeah, that's that. Griff says the first Dying Light gave him hand cramps, so he's hoping the control scheme is better. I don't know. With the success of Dying Light, I imagine that they'll probably keep it familiar to old school players for the first Dying Light game. Finn's here in the chat. How's it going, Finn? Good to see you, man. Liam's in the chat as well. How's it going, Liam? Good to see you, man. Welcome. Yeah, everyone's talking about Fallout. We'll get to Fallout in a minute. Cyberpunk 2077 looks so good. Liam's talking about Jump Force, Devil May Cry 5, Division 2, and other things which we'll get to in a bit. So many great games. So yeah. Next up is the Bethesda conference. Which I wish I'll have a look at. So Bethesda talked about a few things that we were already aware of. They showed us a bit of Rage 2. I believe they had a bit of gameplay there in Rage 2. Looked pretty good. Didn't play the first one. Probably not going to play the second one if I'm going to be perfectly honest. It doesn't really look like my kind of thing. But there's no doubt that the visuals in it look very impressive. And I think a lot of people are going to be really on board with that. And also, for some reason, they brought Andrew WK on, and he did a song for it. That seemed to be a recurring thing at E3 this year. I don't know if that's something that normally happens, but there was, in a fair few of the conferences, they had like live music, and they brought a band on, or they had somebody playing some like acoustic soundtrack from a game that they were talking about or something like that. That seemed to be like the trend. So yeah, Andrew WK was there, which is a bit weird. He must be fucking knackered because a couple of days before he was at Download Festival where me and Sonny were at. He was there. We didn't see him. We were watching NXT instead, but yeah, he was there. So after that, he must have just got on a plane and gone to E3 for the Bethesda conference. Doom Eternal was announced, which is something that was expected. That's something that I believe we talked about last week, very briefly, that a Doom 2 was going to be announced, and it was. Doom was great, the first one. It was so well received. I played it. I enjoyed it very much. Very badass game, very badass first-person shooter. So there's no surprise that Doom is going to be Doom 2 or Doom Eternal is going to be there. We're going to be seeing it soon. Whether or not I imagine that it'll be released on the Switch as well. So presumably we'll get to see it across all platforms, which is great. Whether there's going to be a VR version of it, who knows? What else did they talk about? The new Wolfenstein game, Young Blood, which is going to feature co-op. You're going to be playing. I can't remember the name of the guy now from fucking Wolfenstein. Blaskovitz or Blastovitz or something. Either way, it's set after the latest one, and it's his two daughters, and you'll be able to play co-op, which is great. I know a lot of people. Everybody loves Wolfenstein. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love fucking up some Nazis? That's what's needed. So a lot of that is stuff that we were expecting. Of course, we were expecting Fallout 76 as well. We got some new information on Fallout 76. We discussed it quite a bit later about the rumors and what we can speculate from Fallout 76. So we talked about last week how the rumors say that it's going to be like a Rust kind of thing, or like Ark Survival over the top, over what people were speculating about it being an MMO. I never thought it was going to be an MMO. Otherwise, it would have just been called Fallout Online. But it is online. It is entirely online, says our good friend Todd Howard. But it's from what we can gather, it sounds like it's going to be a bit strange. It's been confirmed that there's going to be no NPCs in the game. So I believe that this means that the players, like us, the players, are going to be playing different roles in the game, such as traders or raiders or vault dwellers or, whatever. And we're going to be playing those roles that the NPCs would normally play. So you can like build a settlement or something like that, or you can build like a trading post. That's the impression that I got from it. Because not long before this stream started, actually, I was reading an interview from, I don't believe it was from Todd Howard. It was from somebody else, part of Bethesda, that's working on Fallout 76, and they were asked the question, if this game is online, what's going to prevent people basically getting ganked in the game, like people just being like abused in the game. Some dickheads just decide to like kill you repeatedly and nick all your stuff. They said that they are going to have things in place to prevent that. And as they said in the Bethesda conference, death isn't going to be like the end of the game in this. It's not going to be like in Minecraft or 7 Days to Die or whatever. To be fair, it's not so much in 7 Days to Die, but in general survival games, when you die, like Don't Starve, that's it. You lose everything and you have to start the game again. But apparently this is not going to be like that. Death isn't going to be the end of the game. People can't kill you and nick all your stuff. Presumably they can't destroy your buildings if you build a settlement or anything like that. So that's good. That's a good thing. So I think that it's going to be more reliant on the players kind of being part of the community and being part of the story, which I think is quite ambitious because people are dickheads, from playing things like Grand Theft Auto or Minecraft or, H1Z1, things like that. People are dicks and, they're going to try and troll you. So how they're going to prevent that, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. And it's going to be ever evolving as well. Presumably they're going to be working on it for a long time, even after it comes out. It comes out in November. Apparently it's 4 times the size of Fallout 4, which is fine, I guess. But, Fallout 4 was a big game. They didn't really need to do that. It doesn't wow. I mean, it wowed me in the fact that it's impressive, but it didn't wow me in the fact that I really care. Like, it's gonna make me more inclined to buy the game because it's 4 times bigger. That's what she said. So yeah, Fallout 76 is interesting. I probably will buy it, but it doesn't. I'm not filled with hype like I was for Fallout 4. I was really filled with hype. I pre-ordered the super duper Pip-Boy edition as soon as it was announced. There is a special edition for this with like a power armor helmet and a few other bits and bobs in it. Don't know whether I'll get that. Undecided at this stage. Yeah. So yeah, that's the basic rundown of Fallout 76. Oh, and they did stress as well that if you want to, you can play this solo. Like most online games, you don't have to play with people that you know, but I imagine that you're probably going to get perks and benefits from working as a team with friends. But they stress that you can play it solo, but it is entirely online. There's not going to be I don't believe there's going to be any offline single player. It's going to be entirely online. But it'd be interesting to find out how you pick up quests, because apparently there are quests in it. But how do we do that? I don't know. Supposedly, I've read somewhere that you'll get it from like holotapes and computers and robots and things like that instead of physical NPCs. But that makes me worried that a lot of it is going to be like kill this many enemies or collect this many items without any real interaction with anything like an MMO. But again, speculation. We'll have to wait and see. I look forward to finding out more about Fallout 76. So they also announced the Elder Scrolls Blades, which is like a mobile game, like an Elder Scrolls mobile game. It looked quite interesting. It kind of looked like an Elder Scrolls game, like first-person RPG. Supposedly it's going to have procedurally generated dungeons. Essentially just like a dumbed-down Elder Scrolls game, which I'm not going to get, but it sounds interesting. I think a lot of people would be on board with that. But that, of course, led into the big reveal, which I believe we talked about last week, which is something that only one person leaked it on 4chan, and this was one that I was talking about. This was a leak that I was talking about last week, which people kind of dismissed this leak, but this was posted on 4chan before the announcement of Fallout 76, and they did call that it was going to be called Fallout 76, and they mentioned the fact that the reason that Fallout 76 and Rage were announced prior to E3 is so that they could announce the Elder Scrolls 6, which they did, surprisingly. And I don't know whether that's the reason. I think it's probably because Rage got leaked by Walmart, and I liked how somebody from Bethesda in the Bethesda conference had a dig at Walmart for that, saying that they can't keep a secret or something like that. So supposedly that's why they announced Rage 2, is because it was leaked by accident by Walmart. So, and then they did a teaser for Fallout 76. So they needed something big to show us. So that's when they announced Elder Scrolls 6. Which seems, to me, actually seems kind of out of character for Bethesda. So it makes sense that they felt that they had to do it. Because I found that, with Fallout 4, and in this case with Fallout 76, they announce it just a few months before it's due to come out, like less than 6 months before it's due to come out. They did it with Fallout 4, they've done it with Fallout 76, and generally you would expect them to do the same with the Elder Scrolls 6. You would have thought that they would announce it just 6 months before it comes out, which is what I like, which is one of the reasons that I really like Bethesda as a publisher and as developers, is that they don't do what a lot of these publishers do and announce a game years and years in advance to try and build up hype. It just really irritates me personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it really fucks me off when these companies announce games years in advance, and we have to wait so long for them, whereas Bethesda announced something and you can be pretty sure that within a year that game is going to be out. But it seems like they've kind of not gone with that for the Elder Scrolls 6, which is a shame. But very much looking forward to that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention as well, actually, that they announced, which they teased, not announced, was Starfield, which is their kind of like space science fiction game. We don't really know anything about it. It was just a teaser trailer, but I'm hoping that this is going to follow the same kind of game that Bethesda are famous for. Fallout, Elder Scrolls, those kind of RPGs, those kind of quest-based RPGs. I'm hoping that Starfield is going to be like that, only a proper science fiction version. I know Fallout is kind of science fiction-y, but this seems to be like a proper science fiction game. So I look forward to finding out more about that, and I can only hope that that's what it's going to be like. But yeah, that's the Bethesda conference. Was really good. It was a really good conference. They gave us a lot of info on Fallout 76, and they announced some great stuff. They gave us a lot of info on Wolfenstein and on Rage, and they showed us Doom Doom Eternal, not Doom Infinite. Yeah, and they shoved Andrew WK in there as well for some reason. So that was that. Yeah, Bethesda conference was good. What's everybody saying in the chat about the old Bethesda conference? Let's have a quick goosey gander. Blah blah blah. Oh blimey, there's lots going on now. Lots going on. So yeah, no NPCs. The feck, says Finn. Yep. Yeah, no NPCs supposedly, and that's been confirmed by Todd Howard, I believe. So, you know, the all-knowing Todd Howard, he's confirmed it. It's crazy. Have you talked about Anthem, says Liam. I kind of brushed over Anthem a little bit. We did mention it from the EA conference, but yeah, we briefly went over it. There isn't really much to talk about in that respect. I know it's the kind of game that's up your street, so I know that you'll be picking that up. But so yeah, Funkel's pre-ordered the extra edition. Missed out on the Power Armor edition already. Oh my word, that's a shame, man. That's a shame. Oh yeah, I'm glad Funkel says I'm glad that the server size is small to make PvP not insane. That's good. That is good that they've got small servers. But the only thing I'm not sure about that with that is that if everybody is going to have a role to play within these servers, if there's only a few people going to be playing, a few dozen or whatever, and with the fact that this is going to be 4 times as big as Fallout 4, it sounds like it's going to be really rare that you're going to even encounter like another person. It's just weird. It's just weird. Jennifer Wynn is in the chat again. How's it going, Jennifer? Welcome once again to Muttering with Mule Live. Mainly interested in Doom. Good shout. Good shout. The Elder Scrolls looks like it could be set in elsewhere. So skooma everywhere, please. Skooma! Yeah, that's what's on the grapevine, isn't it? That it's going to be set in elsewhere. So that's going to be interesting. Really interesting. Look forward to hearing more about the Elder Scrolls 6, and I don't know. I don't know when they're going to be releasing it. I mean, like I say, generally Bethesda don't leave it too long. So, but with Fallout 76 coming out, it's not going to be this year. Maybe they've changed the way they do things. I don't know. So after that was the Devolver Digital Conference, which I don't know if you guys watched the Devolver Digital Conference. When I looked at the schedule for E3, I saw that Devolver Digital has got like their own conference, and I thought that was really odd because they tend to publish just kind of like small indie games, and generally, you know, things like that don't get a lot of attention. And as it turns out, I think that this is a running thing with Devolver Digital. I think they did it last year. But their conference is basically just a massive piss take of the industry. And it's brilliant. If you haven't seen the Devolver Digital press conference for E3 2018, I highly recommend going on YouTube and having a look at it because it is great fun. And they did the same last year. I went back and I saw the one from last year as well. And they had like the same people in it this year that were just taking the piss out of the industry. They were like taking the piss out of like microtransactions and like Bitcoin and loot boxes and stuff like that. They were taking the piss out of general kind of corporate attitudes towards things because the woman, I don't know if this woman is an actor or actually works for Devolver Digital, but she was fantastic. And she was basically like, yeah, check this out. I don't care if you enjoy it. I get paid either way. And then she just fucks off, and we get to watch. But the trailers that they do show are for actual games. There was one the only one that really stuck out for me was one called My Friend Pedro, and that kind of looks a bit like Hotline Miami, only it's side scrolling instead of top down, and it's not 2D kind of graphics, it's 3D, but it's basically just. It looks like the arms were moving independently and shooting stuff. It just reminded me of Hotline Miami as soon as I saw it. It could be very different. But yeah, that was great. That was a brilliant press conference. I absolutely loved that. So check out Devolver Digital, guys. So after that was the Square Enix conference. this got a lot of hate on Twitter and stuff like that. A lot of people were really disappointed by the Square Enix press conference because it was quite short. I think it was only like half an hour or something like that, and there wasn't a lot of talk about games. They basically just had like one guy at the start, just kind of introducing it. This was pre-recorded, like it wasn't anybody on stage or anything like that. And then they just went on to show a load of trailers, which people didn't seem to like for some reason. Personally, I actually liked that. It was short and sweet, and we got to see some trailers for some great games. But these were games, a lot of them I believe were all like already announced. These weren't games that were... there was no brand new announcements, I don't believe, from Square Enix, which is fine. You know, that doesn't matter. Not everybody can pull it out of the bag every year. There's a lot of games coming out that quite clearly are working quite hard. And, I was ready to bitch and moan about Square Enix. I was ready for them to announce Final Fantasy 16, which was due to come out in 2030 or something like that. That's what I was expecting to see, and that didn't happen, which was great. But what did we see? We've already mentioned Shadow of the Tomb Raider earlier, which is, again, like I say, it looks brilliant. Looks really good. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The combat looks fantastic. The environments, graphics, the sound, everything looks fantastic about that. A lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. Captain Spirit, which we mentioned earlier, set in the Life is Strange universe. Let's see, the Just Cause 4, again, not played the Just Cause series. I think I've got Just Cause 3, but I haven't played it. I've got so many games that I've got that I haven't played. So I know a lot of people are going to be excited about that. There was more Kingdom Hearts, of course, which looks fantastic. There was a few other things which I didn't pay much attention to, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. There was one called Babylon's Fall. Some of it, some of the conferences I was kind of watching in the background because I was just trying to get, while I was just doing stuff, like while I was like, I don't know, cooking or something like that, because there was so much to get through before today. There was another one called The Quiet Man. There was a trailer for like a Final Fantasy 15 and Monster Hunter like crossover thing, I think. They didn't really give much information, but those of you that I know a lot of you are fans of Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy 14. Did I say 15 or 14? Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 Online. A crossover between that and Monster Hunter. I know a lot of people enjoy Final Fantasy 14. Peddler, I don't know if you're in the chat actually, but Peddler, if you're watching, I believe that you're a fan of that, aren't you? That could be interesting for people. And also Dragon Quest 11, there was a trailer for that. Never played a Dragon Quest game before, and I didn't know that this was a Dragon Quest game until the end of the trailer. But I saw that and I thought, wow, this looks like a good JRPG. I could get on board with this. I like the style of it, although the main character sort of looks a bit like future Trunks, just with like different coloured hair and a different outfit, but he's got like the same hair, the same sword, the same build. He just looks like future Trunks. But I thought that looked really good. I'll definitely keep my eye out for that. I've heard nothing but good things about Dragon Quest games, and sadly, we had no word on Final Fantasy VII. I didn't expect there to be any word on Final Fantasy VII during the Square Enix conference. I expected it in either the Sony conference. Well, I didn't expect it in the Sony conference. I know Finn expected it in the Sony conference. You owe me £1, by the way, Finn. But I expected to see it after that, with the after the press conferences. As I say, E3 is still going on with a lot of demonstrations. I expected it to happen within Sony's demonstrations, but I think they're done now as well, and there hasn't been any word on it, which was a shame, because they did say at the end of the Sony press conference, we'll get onto that, the Sony press conference in a minute, but at the end of the Sony press conference, they showed like the schedule of games that they're going to be showcasing over the next few days for people to like look at and demonstrate and things like that. And there was one title which was that just said Square Enix title. And a couple of weeks ago, I saw a picture of a leak, like a leaked picture on Facebook, I believe it was, of that schedule. And it was basically the same schedule, only in the Square Enix titles place, it said Final Fantasy VII demonstration. So at first I wasn't expecting to see Final Fantasy VII, but then after the Sony press conference and I thought back to that picture, I thought, oh, we probably are going to see something. They're just kind of like keeping it held close to their chest, and they're going to announce it as like a surprise. But didn't look like that happened, sadly, but hey-ho. So yeah, that was a basic rundown of Square Enix's press conference. I thought it was okay. A lot of people didn't. But, you know, that's taste, isn't it? So Griff's talking about Starfield, going back to the Bethesda conference, saying it's going to be next gen. So that's fine. I don't expect to see that game anytime soon anyway, especially with the fact that they're going to have to do ongoing support for Fallout 76, and they're working on Elder Scrolls 6. So I have no expectation to see Starfield anytime soon. Funkel's calling 2020 for the Elder Scrolls 6. Wow. You're probably going to be right there, because it's been like 2 years since Fallout 4. I believe it's been 2 years. So it makes sense that it's going to be another 2. And now they're bringing out Fallout 76. It makes sense that they're going to be waiting another 2 years. We'll have to wait and see on that, I suppose. Sony's next gen is slated for 2020 as well. That makes sense. You know, they say that it's coming towards the end of the shelf life now, the PlayStation 4. It's a shame that it's as soon as 2020, or that's what people are thinking, because they've only recently kind of brought out the PS4 Pro. So only to get a couple of years shelf life out of the PS4 Pro feels a bit of like a money grabbing scheme on Sony's part, which is a shame. Jennifer Wynn says, I've not touched a single Kingdom Hearts, but it looks neat. Like I said, I don't know if you joined me earlier in the show, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts is something I've always tried to get into, but I've tried multiple times and never got into it, but I'm playing it now. I'm probably going to play it actually after the end of this stream, and I'm really enjoying it, so I would highly recommend it. Give it a go. Give it some patience, though, because the game can be really frustrating. For something that you would have kind of expect to be marketed towards children quite a bit, it's a surprisingly hard game. You know, the game doesn't always tell you where you need to go or what you need to do. So that can be a bit frustrating. A lot of locations you have to revisit and stuff like that. But once you get your head around that, it's a lot better. Finn says, love Just Cause 3. 4 looks to be much the same, so I'm excited. Yeah, that's from what I've seen of Just Cause 3 previously, and from what I've seen of Just Cause 4, it looks basically just like I suppose they've just kind of upscaled everything in the game with regards to gameplay, visuals, everything like that. Which some people dislike, some people like to see things completely overhauled. But I don't think, with a game like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with seeing something similar. So, yeah, it looks good. Liam's all over Dragon Quest XI. Yeah, it looks really good. I look forward to checking that out. Jennifer Wynn is interested in the event with Final Fantasy 14. So, that's good. What was it again? Final Fantasy 14 and who was it pairing up with again? I've already forgotten. Who were they pairing? Monster Hunter, that's it. I've forgotten for a second. Yeah. Dragon Quest XI looks great, says Finn. Will be my first Dragon Quest 2. Yeah, definitely get all over that. And Finn loves Kingdom Hearts and needs to play through them again before 3, which is exactly what I'm doing. So, yeah. So, actually, everything from what you guys are saying in the comments, you seem to have quite a positive experience with Square Enix, as did I, with their conference. But yeah, lots of hate on the internet. People were going... I think people were just really expecting to see Final Fantasy VII, and because they didn't get that, they got pissed off with it. But, you know, it's Square Enix. It's going to be a long time till we see Final Fantasy VII. Anyway, so after that, there was the Ubisoft conference. Ubisoft... I like Ubisoft. People take the piss out of Ubisoft a lot. and people dislike Ubisoft because of their kind of practices and the fact that they have microtransactions in them. But I like Ubisoft. I think they produce some really good games. And like on a personal note, Ubisoft are really supportive of small YouTube channels. I've received review copies from Ubisoft on games, and only being a small channel, it's a really good thing to have. And it's really good to see that a company is supporting small YouTubers. And I like Ubisoft a lot. I've got a lot of time for Ubisoft. So I didn't see the Ubisoft. Saying that, I'm saying all this stuff. I haven't actually watched all of the conference. I missed like the first half of it. I only saw the second half, and I haven't gone back yet and watched it. So I'm praising Ubisoft and how thankful I am, and I can't even be bothered. They announced some information with regards to Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I know a lot of people are excited about. Bothered to watch their fucking press conference, but anyway. You know, people have been asking for a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil for fucking years, and they're going to be getting that. From the brief kind of screenshots and trailers that I've seen, it looks very interesting. The cinematic like parts of it look fantastic. I'm not sure if there's any gameplay because, like I say, I didn't watch it, but that's something that I know a lot of people are excited about. A new Trials game. This video is sponsored by Ubisoft. Cheers, Liam. New Trials game's been announced. That's I know a lot of people love the Trials games, so that has definitely gone down well. We've already discussed a little bit about the Division 2. They're working with Nintendo Switch as well. They're going to be releasing some DLC, some Donkey Kong DLC for Mario and Rabbids, which is supposed to be really good. One thing I did catch a bit of that, actually. And what I did catch, this is when I started watching the Ubisoft conference, is they gave us quite an in-depth trailer about a new game called Skull and Bones, which seems to be kind of like Ubisoft's answer to Sea of Thieves. And I tell you what, it looks brilliant. So... yeah, Skull and Bones looks like their version of Sea of Thieves, and they've gone for like the realistic graphics approach instead of like the cartoony art style of Sea of Thieves. We got to see some of the ship combat. We got to see like a demonstration of the ship combat. We don't know much on whether there's going to be kind of like disembarking from your ship and any kind of like sword fights and things like that. Something I would expect to see. I'm hoping it's not going to be entirely ship combat, but it looked fantastic. I really look forward to finding out more about Skull and Bones, and it's something that I'm probably, well, there's no probably about it. I'm definitely going to get that, because who doesn't love pirates, honestly? And with me being a PS4 gamer, I missed out on Sea of Thieves, which I'll get if I do get an Xbox, but I've heard mixed things about that. Well, actually, one thing that I didn't mention about the Xbox conference, I don't know if it was in the conference, but I know that I think it was in the conference. They talked about the kind of like the future of Sea of Thieves and some additional content, and they teased some additional content for that, so that's good for them. Anyway, back to Ubisoft. There's a few other things. There was Starlink as well, which I know is going to be for the Nintendo Switch, which is like a space fighter game, and it's going to have Star Fox in it on the Nintendo Switch version. And it had Shigeru Miyamoto there, and they like give him a statue of like the Star Fox spaceship, and it was all very nice and touching. It was lovely. There was some stuff announced for additional content on For Honor, and I believe For Honor is available for free now on Uplay. I don't know if is that just PC, or is that... Well, I suppose it would be, because otherwise it would just be from like the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store or whatever on consoles. So I believe it's just on PC. But yeah, it's free, or the starter edition is anyway, I believe. And then they ended their conference with a look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've spoken about Assassin's Creed games before. I've never been a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed games, but I really enjoyed what I did play of Assassin's Creed Origins. I thought it was beautiful. I haven't done it yet, but I love the fact that there is an option in it to go on like a tour of Egypt, and you'll get like given information about the history of a specific location and things like that. I really like that idea. That's fantastic. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm hoping is going to be included. It is going to include that kind of option. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is set in ancient Greece. It's set before Origins, so that kind of, I don't know what the, surely this would be more of an Origins if this is set before Origins. But either way, it's set in ancient Greece. It looks beautiful, just like Assassin's Creed Origins did. I'm a real stickler for ancient Greece and Greek mythology and stuff like that. It's something that I really, really enjoy. So if they're going to incorporate that into an Assassin's Creed game, I'm really looking forward to that. And I believe they introduced a few new things. Like, for example, you get to pick a character this time, and you get to choose between a male and female character, so that's good. I think you also get dialogue options in this game as well. So that's brilliant. That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Ubisoft, I think, had a pretty strong conference. People, like I say, people like to hate on Ubisoft a lot, as with a lot of developers, publishers even, like EA and stuff like that. And I can see why people abuse EA, because EA are dicks. But a lot of people compare Ubisoft to EA, and I don't think they're in the same league. I think that Ubisoft put microtransactions in their games. That's all they do. I don't think they actually screw over their consumers and their fans like EA does. I think EA are an absolute piece of shit with regards to that. Let's see what's going on in the comments. What are you guys saying about the Ubisoft conference? See if these play. Oh, you can play it on PC. You can play it on PC. I never thought of that. I don't know what Finn... Finn's talking about Sea of Thieves. Didn't give it much of a chance, to be fair. Just wasn't the game I wanted it to be, I guess. I know people who love it. Yeah, I think that basically people were just kind of disappointed with Sea of Thieves, weren't they? It kind of wasn't the game that they were expecting, and it's very repetitive, samey. It's probably one of those games, sort of like No Man's Sky, where it's really interesting for the first couple of hours, and then you realise that that's what the whole game is. But I think they're going to be continuing to develop it, and they're going to expand upon it. Like I said, they released those teaser trailers during the Microsoft conference. So I think that Sea of Thieves is going to expand into the game that people want, but they made the mistake of releasing it perhaps too early. Liam says Norse mythology for the win. So you want like a Viking Assassin's Creed. That's what you want. But you're saying that because you have God of War. No, I like Norse mythology as well, but I'm a real sucker for Greek mythology. I love it. I can read about Greek mythology non-stop. I love it. So after that was the PC gaming show, which I watched earlier today. The PC gaming show, I didn't think much to it, to be honest with you. I thought it was really weak. They didn't seem to have any big games. It was all like indie games, really. There wasn't really anything for me that properly stood out. There was a few things that did stand out, which I am going to get, but nothing that really blew me away. And also, I was really, really distracted by the people that were presenting it. There was a bloke and a woman, this American guy and this English woman, and they just felt really disconnected. It felt like they were like children's TV presenters. Like it just didn't feel natural. They were too smiley and too like, no, I really look forward to seeing that. When's that out? And where can they see that? Oh, well, you better check that out. And they came up with really shit jokes as well. Like there was a game that was announced by I can't remember the name of the developers, but it's the same developers that do the Killing Floor. And this was quite a good one, actually, I have to say. They announced a game called Maneater. And they said it's an action RPG, but you play a shark. You're a shark, and you have to kill people. But apparently there is like a campaign, and there's like a storyline to it, but you're playing a shark, and you get experience points, so you can upgrade your shark so it has like sharper teeth, and it can like jump out the water, and like I presumably get bigger and stuff like that. It was a really odd looking game, but I'm really interested in it, actually, thinking about it, because it just looks so different, so out there. And that's what I like to see from E3 sometimes. But there's a lot of samey games about stealth combat and things like that. You know, that's what we saw from quite a few things like Assassin's Creed and like The Last of Us and things like that we're going to talk about in a bit. But yeah, it just seemed really interesting. But the thing that I'm getting at is that the presenter, the lady, she said afterwards, well, that looks very interesting, and I can't believe that they've named it after my favourite activity at the weekend. And then just kind of... anyway, and then they carried on talking. And then she carried on talking. She kind of knew that it was a really shit joke. Yeah, it was poor children's TV presenting. So yeah, there was Maneater, which stood out for me. There was the spiritual successor for Theme Hospital, which I've already can't remember the name of. What the fuck was the name of that? Oh, bloody buggeration. I'm going to have to Google it. I can't remember the name of it. Theme Hospital spiritual successor. I put it on my Steam wishlist earlier as well. I can't remember. 2 Point Hospital. That's it. So you've got 2 Point Hospital. I don't believe there was a release date for it, but that was very interesting. I am definitely going to be picking that up. I love Theme Hospital. Theme Hospital is probably one of my all-time favourite games. I spent so many hours on it as a kid. And yeah, there's going to be a spiritual successor for it. They showcased some of the gameplay for that just in a trailer. They weren't physically playing it there. It looked great. Looked just like an upscale Theme Hospital, which is exactly what I want. So I look forward to that. And there was also a new game, a game announced called The Forgotten City, which is something that I've never heard about, but this is apparently it was originally a Skyrim mod. It was like an award-winning Skyrim mod. And it's kind of set in an underground Roman city. And it kind of suggests that there may be some like time travel involved, or you need to kind of change things to prevent people from dying or something like that. It was very vague, but it looked beautiful. In fact, we'll check out the trailer while we're at it. Let's check out the trailer for this. If I can get the fucking thing to work. Come on, you pile of shit. So yeah, this is the trailer for The Forgotten City.
I'm so sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place. An ancient underground city. Its existence long forgotten. Searching for a way out. All I found is a window into the past. If even one person here commits a sin, everyone will die. I tried to set things right, but whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. It's all up to you now. Go back, investigate, talk to everyone, help them out if it'll win their trust. Bend the rules as far as you can. Figure out who's responsible for this. And maybe you can do what I never could. Save these people. Save yourself.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the
loud.
one.
So, yeah, that was the Forgotten City. I think that looks very interesting. I look forward to checking that out a bit more. Graphics I thought looked really good, and considering this, I believe that this has been built from the ground up. It was originally a mod and it won loads of awards, so they've actually created its own game out of it. So that's going to be interesting to catch. That's going to be set for 2019. But other than those, they're really the only things that popped out at me for the PC gaming show. Meh, it's fine, but eh. What are you guys saying in the chat? Did you know that the studio that developed Sea of Thieves is only 15 minutes from where we live, says Liam? I did not know that. I did not know that at all. Oh, Finn used to work there. Did you? What, you used to work for the people that did Sea of Thieves, or you worked in Twycross? I was a tester for a short while. It was fun. Sadly, they moved testing to a different location. Oh, yeah, I didn't know you were a video games tester, Finn. That's interesting. I like that. Oh, that's a shit. So they moved it. They moved location. That's shit. You quoting that shit joke just made me put my cup of tea down and stare into the abyss. That's pretty much what I did when I saw it, Jennifer. That's pretty much what I saw. That's pretty much what I did, yeah. So yeah, that was the PC gaming conference. It was pretty disappointing, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. So after that, it was the E3. The E3. I keep saying E3 when I don't mean to. Fuck's sake. After that, it was Sony. Sony had a lot to live up to following the Microsoft conference, and they didn't really compare to it. They opened strongly with the Last of Us trailer, which showed a bit of cinematics and it showed some gameplay. It looked basically pretty standard stealth battles gameplay with Ellie, and it just kind of looked like The Last of Us. But you know, that's what people want. You know, everybody loved The Last of Us. Everybody loved the story. Everybody loved the gameplay. Loved the setting. Everybody, I think a lot of people considered The Last of Us to be one of the greatest games that Sony has ever come out with. That's ever come out with on the PlayStation. Obviously, it came out on the PS3, and then they remastered it for the PS4. So the fact that they're not going too far away from that, by the looks of things, is great. So it didn't wow me. I wasn't super excited by it, but I can see why people were excited for it. For some reason, at the start of the press conference, they had everybody in this like tent or something that looked like the setting from The Last of Us. Basically, the cinematic part of it is Ellie at like a party, and everyone's dancing around, and she's with her like girlfriend, and they're dancing in this kind of gazebo sort of thing, I suppose, with like lights going across it and everything like that. And they made this tent that everybody was watching the press conference in like that. But then afterwards they moved everybody to like the main like auditorium. So for some reason they felt that they had to have everybody in the same setting. It just didn't, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's just a weird bit of marketing and a shitty bit of, I don't know, showmanship or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. So one of the things that was announced on the PS4 conference was Ghost of Tsushima, which is a samurai game, which is open world, which is, I believe it said it was set during like the Mongolian War or something like that. But it showed us some combat from that. It kind of felt a bit sort of like, I suppose a little bit like Witcher 3 or something like that. Witcher 3? Witcher 3. It's a bit like that. And it looked really pretty. The visuals on it were fantastic. In fact, we shall We won't. We shall watch a bit of that actually. Ghost of, if I can pronounce it. Here we go. Ghost of Tsushima, or Tsushima, however you want to pronounce it. We'll have a quick look at this as well. Fucking ads. I don't want to see a Hitman ad. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Right, hold on a minute. Let me show you this as well. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier about, for some reason in the conferences they decided to bring on like a band or something. They started off... This just annoys me when they do this. I don't know why. Just fucking get on with it. But they had this guy playing like a flute or something. Some like Japanese flute. At the start. For some reason. There's just no fucking need for it. So we'll skip ahead of that anyway. Oh man, that is loud. Can you guys hear that okay? I'm trying to turn down the volume, but... Oh, it probably helps if I use the right fucking dial to change my volume. There we go, that's a bit better.
Nobu, come.
So yeah, this is Ghost of Tsushima. So it's an open world kind of Japanese samurai game. And as you can see from the visuals, it looks brilliant. It looks so good. And I know that they did have fluty at the start, which they didn't need to. But you can hear from the soundtrack that it sounds brilliant. We'll just skip ahead a little bit.
Jin, you're late.
Just want to try and show you the combat part of it as well. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Here we go.
I'll guard the exits.
So they're kind of like infiltrating this building to try and take out the guys in there for whatever reason. So you've got this guy in like his grass armor. So there's some like parkour shit in it. He's got a grapple hook. And then he rocks on in there. Get the combat to start, man. Let's get the combat to start. Right, here we go. Oh, right in the face. So that was kind of like in Arkham Knight, where you can use like the, I think like the fear takedown, where you can surprise a bunch of enemies and then take them all down at the same time.
He called reinforcements. We have to move.
So that's one aspect of it, and then it turns out that his mate that he was talking to earlier like betrays him and decides that she wants to fight him. So then they have to fight. So we get to see more of the like in-depth combat in this. So this is definitely something that stood out from the PlayStation conference for me. This recording that we're seeing, it's not the best quality, I have to say. The when I saw this on the actual conference, it looked a lot more impressive. I don't think the definition of this recording is as good as it was when it was initially showcased. And there we go. So, as you can see, I mean, it looks very pretty. And the combat looks very interesting. And I think that there could be a very intriguing storyline in there as well. So, that was definitely a highlight to come out of the PlayStation 4 conference. We got the announcement of the Resident Evil 2 remaster, which looks fantastic as well. Not the Resident Evil is one of those ones where I only played the first one, and then I came back when Resident Evil 7 came. Resident Evil 7 came out, which I loved. That was probably my game of the year last year. I believe it was last year. But this Resident Evil 2 isn't going to be first person. It's going to be like over the shoulder, like Resident Evil 4. But it's got great graphics. It's got a great atmosphere to it. It's, such a creepy setting. The zombies look great. I know a lot of people are really pleased about that. And I think, because they did bring out a Resident Evil 1 remaster, didn't they? I think I'm going to have to go back and play that. Just so that because that didn't really interest me, but this does look really interesting, so I might have to play that so I can play the Resident Evil 2 remaster. They had another Kingdom Hearts trailer as well. This one showcased, whereas the Microsoft one showcased the Frozen world, this one showcases the Pirates of the Caribbean world on this Kingdom Hearts trailer that was on the Sony conference. It looks really weird. I know that I believe that Pirates of the Caribbean has been in Kingdom Hearts before, but I've not seen it yet. Because, as I say, I'm only playing the first one at the minute, and it's not in that. It looks really weird to have, like, these really realistic-looking character models of, like, Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and stuff like that in this pirate setting, alongside Sora, Goofy, and Donald. It just looks weird. It doesn't look right. And I don't know if they've got Johnny Depp in on this, but the guy sounds just like him. So I'd say that's pretty impressive if they did get him in that. And of course, we had Death Stranding again. I'm getting a bit fucking sick and tired of Death Stranding, if I'm going to be honest with you, because we still don't know anything about it. I mean, we got to see what looks like some gameplay in the trailer that was showcased, but we still don't know what the game is or what it's about. It still just looks fucking weird. But from what we can tell, you'll be playing Norman Reedus, so that's going to be your character, and he's like a delivery man, and it kind of shows you traversing different very pretty environments, very nice environments, with carrying stuff on his back. That's all that we can really get from it. We see him, like, there's these weird, like, invisible monsters or something like that, and they need there's the baby, and it looks like the baby is aware of its surroundings. It's fucking weird, man. It's weird. And yeah, we still don't know anything about it. We don't know anything about a release date or anything. Hideo Kojima's not really giving us much information at all about it. It's just fucking weird. That's all I can say about it. But it's worth watching it. It's worth watching the trailer. I just wish that we knew about it. I just wish that we knew more about it. I wish we knew what the game was about and when it's coming out. This goes back to my point earlier about fucking publishers and devs announcing games way in advance, and in the end, for me anyway, I don't know if any of you guys that are watching feel the same, you just end up getting pissed off with it. So we'll wait and see again about what's going to happen with Death Stranding after however many fucking years it's been at E3. Neo 2 was announced. I haven't played Neo 2. I don't give a shit about that. I haven't played Neo, sorry. With the samurai version of Dark Souls and Bloodborne coming out, I don't think this is really going to get much of a look in, to be honest with you. From Software also announced a PSVR game called Deracine as well. We got to see a little teaser trailer for that, but we don't know anything about that game. Apparently it's going to be a big departure from Bloodborne and Dark Souls, so we'll have to see more of that. And then they just spent the whole time talking about Spider-Man at the Sony conference. It was basically the Spider-Man conference accompanied by a few trailers from a few of the games, and they're really plugging Spider-Man, and people are really excited for this game, and I just don't see it. I don't see why people care so much about this game. Maybe it's because I'm not a huge fan of Spider-Man. I'm much more of a DC Comics fan. I'm more of a Batman fan, Superman fan. But I watched a gameplay trailer, I think that was at the last E3, and it was just like riddled with QuickTime events and stuff like that. I know I've spoken about this before, but yeah, it was riddled with QuickTime events, and it felt like there was little actual gameplay in it. And that was from a half hour something or 20-minute long gameplay trailer. But that was actually people playing the game. So you got to see it was definitely QuickTime events. You got to see the HUD and everything like that. But what they showed you at the Sony conference, it didn't have the HUD on it. So you didn't know for sure how much of this was proper gameplay and how much of this was QuickTime events. And it showed a lot of bits with Spider-Man chasing after Electro through buildings and through tunnels and up buildings, and then he would have like a bit of a fight with some other villains like Rhino and Vulture. Is it? Yeah, Vulture and Scorpion. And I know that these are just going to be QuickTime events. It looks like really epic, awesome gameplay, but I just know that these are going to be QuickTime events, going from what we saw from the previous gameplay trailer at, I believe, the last E3 or some other kind of gaming event. So I'm not bothered about Spider-Man, which, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about Spider-Man. I really couldn't give a shit about it. I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope it turns out to be an amazing game. A lot of people want to compare it to like the Arkham series and stuff like that. If it's anything like them, then I'll be on board with it, and I'll probably get it. But to me, and I know that they have QuickTime events in them, but there wasn't a lot of them. And I feel like this is a very QuickTime event riddled ting. But like I say, we'll have to see. So what are you guys saying in the chat? Let's go back to the chat. Liam says, Death Stranding, I don't give a fuck about what it is, I just need it, like now. Yeah, that's a fair point to make. I just want them to release it. I just want them to tell us when it's going to be released. People need to stop announcing games so many years before they're released. It's just fucking stupid. Finn Steele is recommending Resident Evil 1. I'll have to... Yeah, I'll check that out. I will check that out. In fact, I think I've got it. I think... Didn't it come with PlayStation Plus ages ago? So I think I've actually got it. Jennifer says, no joke, this legit feels like Kojima is into Norman Reedus. The camera kisses him and he gets pregnant. That's the trailer ages ago. He's mental. I think you might be right there. Jennifer also says, I'm glad From Software isn't making another Souls game. I love 2 and Bloodborne, but 3 really showed they were out of steam. And Liam disagrees. Liam says 3 is the best Souls. I haven't played Dark Souls 1. I have played Dark Souls 2 now, but Dark Souls 3, it was the first one I played. Well, I actually played Bloodborne first, but I've played Dark Souls 3. I hated it at first because it was so difficult, but then I played it again not too long ago, as Liam knows, and I really enjoyed it. I thought Dark Souls 3 was really good fun, and it looks fantastic. So, excuse me, following that, I tried Dark Souls 2, and I've really enjoyed Dark Souls 2 as well. So, I think that this Samurai Dark Souls from Software is going to be really interesting, but I think it's great that... I agree, I think it's great that they're kind of bringing out something completely different and new also, but it is going to be on PlayStation VR. I don't know if it's going to be on Oculus Rift or the Vive or anything like that. I hope so. I hope it's going to be on Oculus Rift, because then I can play it, because I don't have PSVR. So yeah, Spider-Man Arkham Asylum looks alright, but I want to see swinging around the city. There has been gameplay trailers showcasing that. Liam disagrees. Liam says Spider-Man looks great. It looks good visually. It's fantastic, but I'm really concerned about the gameplay in that. I think it's not going to be as good as we would like. So finally, this this stream has gone on a lot longer than I expected. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around here. Last week it only lasted an hour, and I expected it to last an hour this time, but holy smokes. So finally, you had the Nintendo conference, which I believe a lot of people were disappointed with as well, because it felt a bit too much like Nintendo Direct. I thought it was okay. It's basically the Nintendo conference was Smash Brothers, the Smash Brothers conference with a few other games thrown in, such as Super Mario Party, which I think looks great. They are doing this kind of like new thing now where you can like get two switches that are in like handheld mode and put them together, and it kind of like forms a bigger map. But you can do it at like weird angles and stuff. So they're not just next to each other. Like you can get one and put it like that in a T, or have it a bit further off, and then you use your finger on the touch screen to like show where the points connect or something like that. Really interesting concept. Nintendo are always on top of their game when it comes to, I believe, innovation with hardware, more so than probably any other. I mean, I know that like the Kinect was just a shit show. PlayStation Move was wank. They had to reuse it for PlayStation VR. PlayStation VR is very good, but it uses old technology with the PlayStation Move. That's the only downside to the PlayStation VR. Other than that, I think the PlayStation VR is fantastic. But yeah, Nintendo are always on top when it comes to peripherals and hardware innovation and stuff like that. So that doesn't come as any kind of surprise. There's a few RPGs announced, such as Xenoblade Chronicles and Fire Emblem. They have it's out. It's available now. You can, if you're into your battle royale, you can play Fortnite now on the Nintendo Switch. Which is, as I was saying earlier towards the start of the show, I'm not a big fan of the battle royale genre. I think it's going to get tired really fast, and it's a bit irritating that it's been shoehorned into everything. But I do think it's great that they've brought Fortnite to the Switch, because Fortnite is such a popular game, and I think it's perfect for the Switch. I think it's great that you're able to play a game like that handheld. That's why I love the Switch, just being able to play these really, these games that you get on current gen consoles that are way more powerful than the Nintendo Switch, and you're able to play these games handheld. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. I love the Nintendo Switch. It's such a great console. But of course, there's been the controversy with regards to Sony and with cross-platform play, because of course you can sign up for you have to sign up for a Fortnite account. It's not just linked to whatever platform you're playing on, like your PSN or whatever the equivalent of an Xbox One is, Xbox Live account or whatever. It's linked to Fortnite itself. And Sony have been blocking people from using their accounts on Fortnite on the Switch. They have to use their own... They have to create a new account. So in a lot of these instances, people have been investing money into the microtransactions on Fortnite, and they can't use them on the Switch because Sony don't want to play ball. Sony don't want to share. Sony are being dicks, And if Nintendo and Xbox can get along, if Nintendo and Microsoft can get along, then why can't fucking Sony? Sony are just being twats about it. So, yeah, there was an awful lot about Super Smash Brothers, an incredible amount. That took up most of the Nintendo conference. It's called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and it's going to have every single Super Smash Brothers character that's ever been released in this game. So not as DLC or anything like that. They're going to introduce new characters as well, but it's even going to have like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII in it. It's going to have Solid Snake in it. It's got everybody in it, and that is an excellent selling point for it. And I think that they could have just left it there with it, but they showed a hell of a lot of gameplay, and they showcased, I believe, every single character. Like, they gave quite an in-depth discussion about every single character, and there's fucking loads of them. I can't remember. I'm not sure how many there is altogether, but holy shitballs, man, there's a lot. So that took up an incredible amount of time. There was some Splatoon 2 stuff, and then of course, there was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which we discussed about last week. Again, as with Fallout 76, there was a lot of speculation with regards to it, but basically everything that we talked about last week was confirmed. There was a few things I wasn't too sure about, and that was how your Pokemon would level up. So it's been... We got to see some gameplay from it around Viridian Forest, and we got to see them fight Brock as well. So the way that your Pokemon are going to gain XP in Pokemon Let's Go is not just from trainer battles, which we know is going to be traditional battles, but from the wild Pokemon, you gain XP for your Pokemon from just catching wild Pokemon. Because I was concerned with the fact that you're not going to be fighting any of these wild Pokemon. It's just going to be catching them like in Pokemon Go. And I wasn't too sure, kind of like towards the end game before you face the Elite Four, how you're going to be leveling up your Pokemon. So yeah, you get XP just from catching them, and that's distributed through all of the Pokemon in your party. Didn't get anything about evolutions, but presumably because of the way that your Pokemon are going to be gaining XP, they'll just level up in the traditional way. So that's good. Still I'm not feeling the whole Pokemon Go thing of catching wild Pokemon just by using like flinging berries at them like you do in Pokemon Go, and then just flinging your Joy-Con or the Pokeball Plus at the screen, and then you capture them. I don't like that. I just think that it's a bit of a cheap way, I think, to get people to download Pokemon Go again, and then probably get them to use like microtransactions and stuff in that. I think it's a cheap move by Nintendo. They could have just done a flat out Pokemon Yellow remake, and that would have been perfect. But they've decided to integrate Pokemon Go in it, which is a bit shit. But I will be getting it. The price, I tweeted about the price of the Pokeball Plus, which we discussed last week. We weren't sure about that. That's going to be 45 quid, which is a lot of money. But people are going to get it. And it comes bundled with Mew. So the only way that you're going to be able to get Mew in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu is if you buy the Pokeball Plus. But supposedly they are going to be doing a bundle where you get the Pokeball and the game together. You don't have to buy them separately. So I'm going to look more into that, because I hate missing out when it comes to Pokemon. I don't want everybody to have Mew and me have fuck all. I don't want to miss out on Mew. I want to get the full experience like everybody else is, and that's how they're raking in the money for this. And that was the Nintendo conference. Sadly, we didn't get anything on the Pokemon RPG that's been announced for next year. We still don't know anything about that. We've got no visuals from it or anything like that, which is a shame. But I imagine we'll see more about that next year. Well, we will definitely, because I think they've said that it is coming out next year, but we've not heard anything from it. So yeah, what are we saying in the chat now? What are we saying in the chat? Pokemon lame, says Liam. I know you're not a fan of Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I'm a huge fan of Pokemon. I think it's great. Waluigi for Smash or Bust. Oh yeah, I don't think Waluigi was on the list, actually, thinking about it. Was he? I don't think Waluigi was on the list. I think the only new characters that they were bringing out was Ripley and Daisy. I think that they're the only new characters, because they were talking about bringing out amiibos for them. Because you can use your old amiibos from all the other characters from previous games with Smash Brothers Ultimate. But they said that because Daisy and Ridley, I can't remember the name, Ridley, whatever. They didn't have amiibos, so they're releasing amiibos for these specifically for Super Smash Brothers. Ridley, not Ripley, sorry. Apologies. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Yeah. This is basically the Mortal Kombat Armageddon of Smash, but hopefully not shit, says Jennifer. Yeah, so that's the lowdown on E3. I mean, what do you guys think? Have you guys got anything that you want to say in the chat about what are your overall impressions of E3? Is there anything that I missed out that you want my opinion on? Is what did you like? What is there anything that you really didn't like from E3? Is there anything that you were really disappointed about? What do you guys think in the chat? Tell me now. Tell me right now. While you guys are posting in the chat, just wanted to say thank you again for everybody that came along last week. I've really enjoyed these past 2 episodes. It's been a great deal of fun. And I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We've talked so much gaming. I might talk about movies next week. There's a few topics with regards to movies that I want to cover. So I'm thinking maybe we're going to talk about that unless anything kind of springs up gaming-wise that I want to speak about. If there's any topics that you would like me to discuss in an episode of Muttering with Mule, then please let me know in the chat. Or you can follow me on Twitter at GamingMule88 and you can let me know on there. Episodes in the future are not going to be as long as this. This episode has lasted nearly 2 hours. I really didn't think I'd be able to talk for this long. And I don't think I've minced my words or anything like that. I haven't tried to I haven't tried to extend this at all or anything like that. I've just wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And I've talked for 2 hours non-stop. So that's fucking crazy. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. No Spyro, 0 out of 10. I'm very surprised that there was nothing on Spyro. I believe that, saying that though, it wasn't in the press conference, but I'm pretty sure that they are still showcasing it, like demonstrations of it, while E3 is still going on. So I imagine that there's going to be a lot on YouTube about Spyro coming up. No Siphon Filter, says Liam. I know some people were hoping for Siphon Filter, like a remake of that. No gameplay of Halo Infinite. No, it was just a teaser trailer, but I'm sure we'll see something about that very soon. Finn says it was a solid E3. I'm happy. Only way it could have been better is if Final Fantasy VII was there. I'll get that £1 to you eventually. Well, to be fair, you can keep that £1, Finn, because I said that we're going to be seeing a demonstration of Final Fantasy VII yesterday or the day before or whatever it was, and we haven't. So you can keep the £1, Finn. It's fine. Put the Big Lebowski into the school curriculum, says Fran. Okay, a bit of a random input there from Fran. What was the point of Jedi Fallen Order? There was no point in it, mate. Absolutely no point in them even bringing that up. They should have just waited. That's just EA being EA, I would say. Yeah. So there you go, guys. That was the obligatory roundup of E3 2018. As I say, next week and in the following weeks, I don't expect these kind of video podcasts to last quite as long. There was a lot that we had to cover, and there is no way that I'm going to be able to do this in future episodes. So if you're thinking that this episode is too long, don't worry. Next week's episode will be shorter. Like I say, I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking about next week. I want to discuss at some point, whether that's on Muttering with Mule Live or on like an additional Muttering with Mule that I'll do separately. But I want to talk about movies, and I want to discuss pointless sequels and pointless remakes that are being made, because I saw on Twitter today about Dumbo being remade by Tim Burton. Ugh. And of course you've got like Ocean's 8 coming out and stuff like that. I want to talk about, I want to have a rant about shit like that. So that might be what I talk about next week. So yeah, be sure to join me. If you've enjoyed this video as well, guys, please don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed what you've seen, then please be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the bell so that you get notifications. This is only episode 2 of Muttering with Mule Live, but I think this is going to become a weekly thing. Every Wednesday from 9 PM, British summertime or Greenwich Mean Time, Muttering with Mule is going to be happening. Those of you that are fans of the channel, I'm going to be back tomorrow from 9 PM, and I'm going to probably return to Final Fantasy 9. I know you guys have been missing out on it, and I appreciate your patience with that, with my kind of hiatus over the past few months. But I'm going to be getting back to my normal schedule. Wednesday nights are Muttering with Mule. Thursday nights are going to be gameplay. So tomorrow night, Final Fantasy 9. I'm going to have to brush up on the accents again. So yeah, thanks again, guys. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at GamingMule88. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to share. Tell your family, your friends, your goldfishes about it. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much for joining. I've been Gaming Mule, and I'll see you all again either tomorrow or next week.